What's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first State Champs Football Forecast podcast presented by Lawrence Tech University. Believe this, for the first time in 70 years, Lawrence Tech has a football program. You can recruit yourself if you think you've got what it takes to play D2 level football. This is Oakland County's NAIA football program. Season kicks off Sunday, September 1st at home versus the former club national champs, the Oakland Golden Grizzlies. So we're going to start the rivalry right there. Lawrence Tech is located in Southfield at 10 Mile and Northwestern Highway. Tickets available now at ltuathletics.com/football tickets. The forecast is also brought to you in part by the Michigan High School Athletics Association and Hungry Howie's Pizza. My name is Lorne Plant, executive producer, host here at State Champs. I have got three of high school football's finest to break it down, talk about it. We're going to do it 14 weeks this year. We've got the football forecast premiering every Thursday at 3 p.m. and State Champs Extra Point Mondays at 5 p.m. So let me welcome them, bring them in. First, Scott Burnstein. What's up, my man?
Hey, man, we're in DEFCON 5 mode right now, counting down the less than 24 hours before kickoff. Greatest time of the year, baby. Greatest time of the year.
I think he can pick you up. I don't think you need to actually grab the mic. We actually have to do a little mic share here. I think you're good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I'm picking anything up in the front of me.
You can turn it towards you, and it will be totally fine.
Right in the middle's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. We've got good sound here, so we're still working some things out. Sean Baligian, what's up, dude? So this is great because we've now, of course, we love everything you do for us in hockey.
Thank you.
But obviously, you are huge in high school football as well. You still do live play-by-play of football, so we're glad to have you here, man.
No, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'll echo what Bernie said. This is really a situation to me where I got up this morning. I had to be up early in the morning. It smelled like college football.
Felt like fall.
I kept waiting for the pigs to be flying around,
right.
But tomorrow, that's the day.
I know, absolutely. So Matt Mowery is now a part of the State Champs team. For those of you who watched the preview show, you know that he was there breaking it down, and he is going to be here with us all fall. Hopefully he's going to be with us full-time from here on out. Tom Markowski is stepping aside. Still going to help, still going to write for us. In fact, he's doing
covering
the Muskegon Warren De La Salle game, right?
Let's get the best one in the state,
yeah,
probably.
Exactly. Well, of course.
Cherry
that's what
picking.
He gets to cherry pick whatever he wants. So Tom will still do some writing for us, but as far as rankings and as far as kind of managing our journalism staff here, which we want to grow and bring in more young people and all of that, Matt Mowery is here. And you may have known Matt, who wrote for, as a Tigers beat writer for many years. He covered high schools extensively for the Oakland Press, worked with Scott Burnstein, as well as other papers in your lifetime. This is a new lifetime for you here, but again, one more time, welcome.
Well, thank you, and it's been a long journey. I mean, if you've seen me at a game, if you think you've seen me at a game, you probably have. I've been around everywhere, all over the state, Alpena, Mount Pleasant, you name it. I've been all over, and so it's fun to actually land here, and like you said, it feels like fall, it feels like football, and it's good to get going.
Absolutely. So for those who were big fans of the radio show we had on 97.1 The Ticket the last couple of years, we loved it too. It got kind of annoying when we didn't know what time we were actually going to start. Sometimes we get pushed to, depending how long the Tigers were going and stuff. But it was fun. I know we reached a whole new audience, a lot of people out there who maybe wouldn't have normally even known who we were. But we welcome you to listen to this. You can consume it at your leisure. We're going to be diligent about making sure Thursdays at 3, you want to chime in and check out the forecast, you can. Mondays at 5, that's where you get Extra Point, the recap show. So again, I think you'll find this is a better program. And again, you still get to watch it. So it's still a webcast, kind of like we were at 97.1. So again, this is a new thing. This is what we're doing. This is where everything is going. You can consume us on every platform you can find. So let's just do this. All right, so here's what's happening. We're going to have several segments that we'll do here. We're going to talk about the best matchups at the PKC here in our first segment. In our second segment, we're going to talk about the Hungry Howie's Mr. Football race. We've already had to make changes. This is historic. Before even the first football game. And the reason why is because at State Champs, we felt that the linemen in general just never got enough play to be able to actually compete and win the award.
It was virtually impossible.
Right.
I mean, let's
face it.
Call like it is.
Yeah. And yet we have got so many fantastic offensive, defensive linemen, linebackers in the state. It's unreal. And this actually, and Matt reminded me of this the other day, that this is nothing new.
No, yeah.
We've been churning out phenomenal guys in the trenches for years, and we need to create our own award for them. We're calling it the State Champs Anvil Award because they bring down the hammer, they take their lunchbox to work, and they get it done. And
first pick in the draft a couple of years ago, Eric Fisher.
Absolutely.
From Stony Creek, and the Gravedigger Gilbert Brown, the world champion Packers back in the 90s.
That's
right. A couple that
That's right. The Gravedigger. And not only that, look who we've got, and we'll talk about it, so I won't get too crazy now, but look at what we've got as far as recruits right now coming out of here. I mean,
it's mind-boggling how many good linemen there are.
Carnival of riches.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to talk about that award, that coming up in our second segment. Third segment, Alan True, 24/7 Sports, is going to be back with us. Of course, he covers all Midwest football recruiting. He is going to participate on our State Champs show in Michigan, of course, and we've just started an Indiana television show, so you got to check that out. But Alan will be with us. He's going to talk about what's happening in recruiting. And then we're going to finish up with some other big games around the state. And we've got a few to talk about, a 4-pack to kind of edit out. So that's what we're doing. Let's get into it, boys. Let's get into what's happening at the PKC. This year is the 14th running of the PKC, and there are some fantastic games right off the bat on Thursday.
As always, you expect nothing less from the Detroit Sports Commission and Zenith.
Exactly. So for those who want to take part in that, I would highly recommend it. I think we got some really good matchups this year.
It starts with the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Oak Park was one of those teams that really made a lot of noise, and a lot of people are going to be watching them this year. Everybody talks about the quarterback, rightfully so. This is a deep team. I think especially on the defensive side of the ball, guys, maybe people are overlooking that. And that's no disrespect to a great quarterback, and you understand why everybody talks about him. Yeah. But I think on the defensive side of the ball, the linebackers, the secondary, boy, that's where they can make some noise this year.
Well, it's like, DeJuan Mathis is the quarterback he's talking about. He's going to Ohio State. And what's scary to me about him is I don't think we've seen him play his best football.
We definitely
He's
have
6'5", 215, runs a 4.4, 4.5. He's got an arm like a howitzer. I think he's still just kind of scratching the surface of his potential. But talking about defense, obviously – people know about Mathis. People know about Justin Rogers, the 5-star offensive lineman who's getting a lot of SEC interest right now. But Enzo Jennings, the best cornerback in the junior class right now, already has the SEC schools, their tongues are wagging. They're talking Alabama, Auburn, Georgia. And he is just a lockdown presence in coverage and sticky fingers, great instincts. And he's got speed galore, so he's the guy that's really leading that secondary that Sean was talking about.
Yeah, this is a team that obviously is senior led, but they do have some really. Justin Rogers is only a junior, and that they've got another kid, Antoine Perkins, who's new coming up. People talking about him, 5'10", 280 defensive tackle. Yeah, for sure. What's interesting about DeJuan Mathis too is last year he shared time.
The last 2 years, he's
really
shared time with Corey Graham, who's now over at Harper Woods with Rod Oden.
Yeah, and oftentimes the games I was at, it was Graham who was making the plays and looked better than DeJuan. So, I'm glad that now it's DeJuan's team. This is where he's going to have to be. It's time for Greg Carter. This is his 9th season. It's time. Greg Carter was the coach at DePores, for those who remember, in the 90s. In fact, he won 3 in a row at one point.
And at Inkster.
Four state
and then Inkster. And
then went to Inkster, got to 2 state championships.
Didn't win it. But this is the time for Oak Park to finally I'm sure that they're saying to get over the hump, because they have a lot of celebrated players. And but again, Utica Eisenhower beat them last year at the PKC, 24-7. So what do we know about Chris Smith? He's already in his 7th season there, which is a surprise.
Best uniforms. I love those uniforms.
Yeah, the Seahawks.
Dating back to when they were on that run in the 90s.
Yeah.
But Ike, they're the part of the.
They won the MAC Red.
Yeah, they're part
11-1 last year.
The class of Macomb County football, and a level of consistency and pride you're going to see game in, game out, snap in, snap out. Chris Smith, like you said, does a really great job leading the troops and producing not just great football players, but really solid young men. All the guys that I've ever interviewed or covered off of Utica Eisenhower have just been real high grade individuals.
They've got 85 kids on the roster. That is a big team.
They've got 1 billion kids in the school. They
do.
Might as well. Yeah, it's one of the biggest schools in the state.
Yeah, but they talk about participation in football. They're all playing for Chris Smith.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And they may not have the highly touted recruits that Oak Park does, but they still have solid football players. Yes. They got speed, and it's a lot of speed and depth.
Size on the line.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pride. You mentioned the word pride, Lauren. There's a lot of pride when you got OAA white, MAC red. That's just an added bonus, man. That's throwing some sizzle.
That's some spice in there.
Well, there's no question about it. They're going to have their work cut out for them in the MAC red this year if they're going to pull it off. We know Chip Valley.
Chip right now Chip is the runaway favorite in the MAC right now.
Yeah.
We can talk about them, at a later date.
Yeah.
But, obviously you can never overlook teams like Ike and Dakota.
No. Yeah, you can't. And even Romeo, who has made strong moves in the past. And I think is Warren Mott still in the red? I don't know. I'll have to look. But they were.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still are. So, all right, let's move on over to the nightcap on Thursday, which is going to be our main event on State Champs. Remember, State Champs, the high school sports show, airs every Sunday at 9 a.m. on Fox Sports Detroit. And we are going to be featuring the Detroit Catholic Central Walled Lake Western game, which, again, should be well-attended. And, again, two powers that are meeting, I believe, for only the third time in their history.
Last time they played in I believe it was a district final.
99. I'm looking at it here. Oh, I'm sorry, 2013.
Yeah.
2013. They played 99 district finals, 2001 state semis, and the 2013 D1 districts.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing because you almost feel like you're disrespecting CC when you say it's CC. Okay, we can move on. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, the machine, Walled Lake Western is the story here because I think we all know how talented they are. But when you're talking about bringing a new coach in, it isn't as easy as snapping your finger. Although there's familiarity there's no doubt about it. You lost a guy that did a tremendous job, and we wish him all the best out in Arizona. But that's going to be the big question. How quickly can he bring all that talent together? Because make no mistake about it, Walled Lake Western's loaded.
Yeah. Alex Grignon coming over from South Lyon. Before that, he helped turn the tide over at Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that
turn the tide's a strong word, but they got to win
momentarily.
They didn't have the historic losing streak that they had. I got you.
They made the playoffs.
You're right.
Yeah.
They did make the playoffs.
So that's for Lincoln Park.
Yeah. No, that is definitely true.
I think what I took most out of my conversations with Coach Grignon on the offseason that I think is going to serve him incredibly well, as he said to me, he said, Bernie, I can't say what's going to happen in a couple years from now, but right now I'm walking into a situation where I got a Cadillac, and what doesn't need to be fixed, and I'm going to let these guys do what they've been doing. There's some crossover from Coach Zadepski's staff, and I think he's going to keep with what these guys are comfortable with, and then maybe try to put his handprint on the team after this group of juniors and seniors leave.
Well, and if there's a guy who knows what that feels like in the world, he's standing on the other sideline.
Yeah.
Dan Anderson was in the same spot last year, excuse me. You never want to be the guy who has to replace the guy because that's hard.
Yeah.
Expectations are so high, and no one knows that better. Like you said, that CC machine, you don't want to screw it. You don't want to be the gear that breaks in that CC machine. But in talking to Dan Anderson, he's the relaxed feel for this year as compared to last year when he said I had a list this long of stuff that I had to do. Well, this year he was able to do some of that in January, some of that in June, and so now he's just got he's got his, as you said, with what Alex is going to try to do. Now he can put his stamp on it a little bit, and this can become his team. So yeah, it's a hard thing to do to replace that guy and to live up to those expectations, especially when you have a loaded team. But he did a great job last year. I mean, 8-5, went to the Prep Bowl, went to the playoffs.
Oh, they were a group that was a sniff away from Ford Field, and they barely made the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, because of the Catholic Central, the Catholic League Central is such a rugged conference that you can go 4-4 or 5-4 or 6-3 and still be a legitimate contender to win a state title. Most leagues, you go 5-4, you're lucky to get in the playoffs, and you're lucky if you win a game.
Yeah, and we'll see, too. I think Walled Lake Western still has a terrible taste in their mouth for losing to Livonia Franklin.
Yeah.
In this, I mean, after we saw what De La Salle did to Franklin, it looked like they didn't even belong there. So what does that say about Walled Lake Western, before? So, Sam Johnson's going to be the real catalyst, the quarterback.
Boston College bound and being protected by Spencer Brown, who's a 4-star recruit going off to Michigan State.
Right, great talent. When we have our Mr. Football list revealed, he's on it. because he deserves to be there. But now's the time of where you now take your talent to the next level, where you become a Ladarius Jefferson in terms of leading your team and just making the plays that have to be made.
I think when you look at this matchup, you see this, it's a little bit cliche, but it's true. You have this contrast of styles that it's very enticing, and you got this high-powered Wall Lake Western offense with a great quarterback, great protection, and then a deep unit of wide receivers. And then you move it over to the other side when you're talking about Catholic Central, and you just got, obviously, their prototypical smash mouth football every year, whether it's Dan Anderson there or Tom Mack there. And as much as Dan's going to put his own fingerprint on this program, he's still going to absolutely the heart of it's going to be smash mouth.
Yeah.
But he's
going to sling it.
They've got they got Marco Genrich, who's a really good quarterback. But you got those Sir Grindelots, in the trenches. Luke Hendershot is one of them who I like a lot.
Kellen Adler.
Yeah, and then who I really like, and is a kid who I think most likely is going to play lacrosse in college, but in terms of a high school safety, a high school quarterback of a defense from the back end, Ryan Burney is one of those guys from the Burney family, guys that have been quarterbacks, receivers at Rice, and also I think of all of his brothers have gone on to play lacrosse at the next level. But this is a guy that is just one cool customer back there, a quarterback in that defense, and I've seen a couple games where it's like fourth quarter, game on the line, opposing team making a run, and Bernie's either intercepting a ball, forcing a fumble, making some call that that wins the Catholic Central defense, lets them seal the game. So I'm excited to see Bernie in the secondary versus Sam Johnson at quarterback.
Nice. All right, so let's go to the nightcap on Friday at Wayne Stadium. There's going to be Davison coming down here to take on Southfield A&T. Every time we talk about Southfield A&T, it's like, what version are we going to get of Southfield this year?
You always know they're going to have a dozen Division I college
It was like
recruits.
Cass Tech back in the day. You always knew they're going to have that. The question is, how good will
I think Cass Tech still has that, but Southfield A&T now is one of those
Cass Tech figured out how to put it together.
You're talking about
Cass Tech from like the early 2000s.
You're talking about like the kind of bugaboo in the playoffs, where maybe what they're advancing in the playoffs isn't commensurate with where they maybe should be in terms of their talent.
A little bit of defense this year, and look out, because they went 4-5 last year, and it wasn't offense. I mean, they averaged well over 30 points a game, if I'm not mistaken. They returned so many on that team as well. This is going to be an offensive juggernaut. Again, let me throw the D word in there. What's that defense going to be like? But I think this is, you guys tell me if you agree or disagree, I think this is one of those poster children, if you will, to make a big jump from 4-5 to winning a few more games this year.
And I think they can challenge in the OA Red. I think they can challenge West Bloomfield, Clarkston, Adams. I think they're going to be right in that mix.
Getting out of the white was good for them. I will say this too. This is the second season now after the merger. So now you had a whole season now to kind of work it out.
I think it's the third.
No, is it? I think it's just the second. I think last season they had their first. I think last year.
I think it's the third.
Is it the third? Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, regardless of that, I think it's an opportunity now for them to really have an identity. As Southfield A&T, it's no longer Lathrop.
Chargers and
right,
Blue Jays
exactly.
Anymore.
Those kids who played for Southfield Lathrop, they're probably now gone. So I
think what's great too is Coach Conley brought on Coach Solomon, who's been the Chargers coach, and he's now a big part of that staff.
Absolutely. So,
and I think the one name to look out, or one of the names to look for with Southfield A&T, junior quarterback Anthony Rumpf, coming over from West Bloomfield. He was the backup last year on a team, a Lakers team that went to the Division I state finals. He's one of these kids that, it's like that, the opposite of a slow burn. Someone who, gets out of that starting block when it comes to recruiting super fast and gets offers before they even take their really true first varsity snap. I mean, he took some snaps in a backup role and blowouts, but hasn't had a team, hasn't had the reins of an offense, and he already has 4 or 5 Division I college offers. So it'll be interesting to see if he can live up to that hype.
So this will be a new Saginaw Valley League South division that's going to include Lapeer, Grand Blanc, Flint, Carmen, Ainsworth, as well as Davison. They went 9-2 last year, 5-1 in the old Valley Blue last year. And so, again, a new coach, so many new coaches this year, which is really...
counted 45 or something, and that was unofficially. That was just going through.
It is
all over the place. Four
exactly.
in the Valley.
So they've got 5 returners back on offense, 4 on defense. Cannon Hall is their senior quarterback. He's going to Northwood. who is somebody that they're going to look to be make. They've got a lot of seniors on this team. They do have some kids who are coming up from JV that are expected to contribute. The good thing is Davison is one of those programs, and this is why I wanted to talk about the game, because this is one of the games you want to always go to, because this is a great high school game. Davison, always brings it. They've got tradition. They've been in the playoffs 12 of the past 16 seasons, so they know how to pass it down. That as they rebuild or reload, they're always going to be in contention. And people don't give credit enough to those Saginaw Valley leagues and how competitive they are. So, you think Southfield might be just, poised to romp. I wouldn't go there.
Well, last year we had that crazy 4 overtime marathon.
56-54, yeah.
Southfield's leading in the second half, and Davidson comes storming back. So, that was a crazy game. So I'm sure that game will be fresh on both those teams' memories. And,
right.
And
the one difference is Tariq Reed is no longer back there for Davidson running the ball.
Davidson saying goodbye to Coach Zim, who did an excellent job there.
He did.
Had to step away for some personal reasons. Coach Jacob Weingart's coming in there, taking over. So, I don't really expect them to miss a beat, especially with a senior quarterback like Cannon Hall, possibly the best name of any quarterback in the state.
If you're going to have a quarterback, you want to name him Cannon.
I believe he's an all-state wrestler, too. Excuse me.
There you go. There you go.
That's a pretty good wrestling program.
When we get to Saturday, that's when things are really going to get hyped, get amped. I'm going to be personally shooting on Saturday the Cass Tech and River Rouge game. This is the first time that Cass Tech and River Rouge have ever played. So this is going to be a great way to kind of kick off what I hope is a rivalry, because this is a matchup we want to see in the future now that River Rouge has made a statement. Both teams were state semifinalists last year. How do you see it?
You literally are going to have 24 Division I college prospects on that field. At least 24.
Yeah.
And half of them are going to Central, it seems like. I'm going through. I'm like, Coach Bono better be there, because he's got like 4 kids from each team, it seems like.
It's going to be very exciting to see that amount of talent on one field in one game in 2 different huddles, and it's on both sides of the ball.
I think the coaches were excited about it too. In some of the lead up to the game actually happening, they have the events, and you talk to some of the coaches, and they got that sly little smile on their face, because listen. Cass and River Rouge. I mean, there's some cred there. There's a little swag there and everything.
Sure.
So I think they're a little excited about getting together. And Lorne, as you mentioned, just 2 dandies on Saturday. Really, there's 2 dandies. And even though we don't know a lot, and we'll get to it in a second about the other one, it's still when you look at the entire day, that's what it should be. I mean, that's going to be a big time hype.
Yeah.
So everyone obviously knows about Cass Tech. River Rouge has been, really building to something the last couple of years. 3 straight trips to the Final Four out of Division IV. But one of the guys I think everyone needs to keep an eye out for, in addition to their senior quarterback Emmanuel Ferguson, who's committed to Air Force, but on the defensive side of the ball, defensive end Ruku or Horhoro, who's going to
talk about later.
He's going to Clemson, and I believe he's the first player from Michigan in at least 3 or 4 decades to head to Tigerville down there at Clemson, and that by itself, especially what Clemson's been doing under Dabo Sweeney, is pretty impressive. And he teams with another guy on the defensive as a rush end on the other side, Jalen Henderson, and they are one nasty 1-2 punch of punishing pass rushers coming after the quarterbacks. And Cass Tech's got a new one in Sebastian Brown.
Right.
A lot of hype. Looks the part. 6'3", great arm. Some nice moves with his feet. It's going to be exciting to see that pass rush and a new quarterback, and see them clash.
Well, not only that, you're going to have Jerron McKinney, in the backfield, looking to take advantage of a first-time quarterback, especially in a situation like that. I think what will also be very interesting is the fact that he's not going to really have to worry about tossing it around too much.
Yeah.
He's got 2 phenomenal running backs in Lou Nichols and Jaron Mangum.
Jaron's going to Colorado at 45 offers. Colorado's really surprised.
45
he could have gone
offers.
He's a kid who could have gone to much higher profile programs. This isn't the Colorado of the McCartney era in the 90s.
Darian Hagan's Colorado, so to speak.
Charles Johnson, and Michael Westbrook. But he is just that perfect combination of power and finesse. He can go up through the tackles. He can cut it around edge. And then Lou Nichols is a speed merchant, just committed to Central Michigan, I believe, in the last 5 or 6 days.
So River Rouge line, as good as they are going to have their work cut out for it to try to see if they can knock those down. All right, the final day, and this is our final segment. Talking here in the first segment, is Detroit King. So, who we are very excited to see what the Crusaders can do this year. Lost to Warren De La Salle in the state semifinals, but De La Salle wasn't going to lose to anybody last year. I think we pretty much know that, although it was a 14-13 game. Cass certainly could have won that game. They went 11-2 last year, taking on Illinois' East St. Louis Flyers. Now, this team was 10-2. They lost to Chicago Mount Carmel 21-18 in their state quarterfinals. They've never played each other. So I'm glad that they get this going. You know, we have that 300-mile rule here in Michigan, so you've got to kind of fit within those confines. Hopefully that will expand and ease a little bit so that we can get some more really great matchups with some powerhouse teams in other state against our powerhouse teams. But regardless of that, I think a lot of people we had a few years back when we had Brother Rice taking on
Chicago Brother Rice.
Chicago Brother Rice.
Yeah, Chicago Brother Rice. And then we also had the team from Ohio.
Was it St. Edwards?
St. Ignatius.
St.
Ignatius. And Brother Rice beat St. Ignatius. Yep. So I just think, it's always great when another team comes in from another state that has a great swag and reputation. And I think King's going to be swagging right back.
I think King has a big chip on the shoulder because, Lorne, you mentioned that game against De La Salle. I had the opportunity to call that game.
Yeah.
And it was one of those games, I'm not joking, that you watch the game and you're like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Because honestly, and I mean no disrespect to Warren De La Salle, but it's exactly what you said. They made plays when they had to, and they won the game. You give them total credit. Yeah. But you kept waiting for King to pull away, and it just never happened. And you talk to some of the King guys in the build-up to this through the PKC and everything, and look, they've got that chip on their shoulder. They want Division II back, and it's going to start with East St. Louis.
King is just it's downright scary to look at that roster right now. Mm-hmm. Whether you're talking offense or defense. On offense, DeQuan Finn, 3-year starter, won a state championship as a sophomore. He's got Penny Boone, the best running back in the junior class, to hand the ball off to. And then he has a wide receiving corps that's probably the deepest in the state. 4 Division I recruits in Rayshawn Williams, Lemuel Watley Neely, Jalen McGohey, and Darryl Wyatt. And then you move over to the defensive side of the ball. You got a linebacker in Rich Miller, who's going to Buffalo. And to me, this guy is a Big Ten talent that's going to the MAC. And then Marvin Grant, best safety in the state, going to Purdue in the secondary.
DeAndre
Buford on the line, one of the best junior linemen. So, and if you're East St. Louis, and I know that program's has got a lineage there. I lived in Illinois for a time being. I know they were always a power in both football and basketball.
Aren't they the winningest team in Illinois history?
And, so there you go.
They're Illinois' Muskegon. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like I know these guys are obviously coming to play and are bringing the heavy artillery, but you can bet your bottom dollar, King, the weapons that they have, they can go to war with and feel pretty comfortable.
It's going to be exciting again. The Prep Kickoff Classic is bringing it again. I'm so glad that they're partners with us here at State Champs. We've been doing a lot of promotion for them over the summer. We had kind of 14 great plays over the years leading up to the 14th Prep Kickoff Classic. Wayne State's a great venue. So, again, we encourage you to get out there. State Champs will be out there. Again, we're going to have all the games we talked about will be on State Champs this Sunday at 9 a.m. on Fox Sports Detroit. So make sure you check that out. We're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we are going to talk about our brand new State Champs Anvil Award. Some of the guys we just talked about throughout the last 20 minutes or so are on that list, as well as our Hungry Howie's Mr. Football race. So we got a lot of good stuff to get to, so stay with us.
My passion is architecture. I don't want to sit around passively studying. I need to create. In our architecture studios at Lorne Tech, we collaborate with students, faculty, and professionals from around the world. And from day one, we design using the same industry standard software that architecture firms use. I really feel like I'm designing my own future here. Lorne Tech. Possible is everything.
You ready, Darius?
Let's do it. Anybody want an autograph? Autograph? We're here for the stuffed crust pizza.
Stuffed crust pizza? Hey, who do you think you are? End of the line, pal.
Flavor fanatics love stuffing their faces with our stuffed flavored crust. Get one for only $2 more on any large original round pizza.
Hungry? Howie's!
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Football Forecast. Time now to get into our award show section of the podcast. I feel like we should have some tuxes on or something here. No, we're not giving anything away. We're just, yeah, exactly. Some top hats. There you go, and some canes. We're talking about a couple of awards that we're doing here this fall. And if you're familiar with State Champs and know what we do, well, you know, for the last, gosh, this is the 11th year of the Mr. Football Award, and Hungry Howie's has been the sponsor, and we appreciate them for the last several years. We had a list that we put out on the preview show, so maybe many of you already gone there and voted, but we kind of came in on Monday, and Lou Battanti, who's our president and everything, we sat down and we talked really honestly about, you know, this award. It means a lot to us. We know it's the preeminent award handed out to the best player in the state, and we're proud of the work that we put into it in terms of our criteria, you know, and how we follow up on what these guys are doing. And we don't just follow stats, even though I know some people think that's all we do.
We're visionaries. We gave it to Cody White, and look what he did. And first year in the green and white.
Exactly. Exactly. So my point is, we felt that there are so many dominant offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers that participate in the state, that they should have their own award, separate from Mr. Football. So what we'll do right now is I'm going to introduce a brand new award that we're doing here at State Champs. We're calling it the Anvil Award. So,
love it.
Yeah, like we're just going to have a trophy. It's just going to be in the shape of a big anvil.
Love it.
Like Wile E. Coyote, you know what I'm saying? And this is for the guys in the trenches, you know. And so we are going to, just like Mr. Football, we're going to handle it the same exact way. We're going to have a top 10 list. Matt is working on a coalition of coaches from around the state, because again, it's hard. What's that?
Yeah, we need more.
Yeah. If you're interested in that, you should let us know. But the important thing is that we want to have them who see these guys and evaluate these guys themselves be able to tell us kind of who they feel should be in our top 10, and they can write in candidates, and again, it will be a team effort along with us here.
No one knows them better than the ones that are game planning for them.
Absolutely. You know, when it comes to, you know, how you measure it is first step explosion and your footwork and the amount of hurries that you either, you know, do or don't allow. And those are kind of things you can't just put into a criteria. So we'll rely on them and do it as a collective. And what we come up with is what we come up with. You know what I mean? It's our award. So we've got a list now. Our top 10 here as we introduce the Anvil Award is Justin Rogers, Oak Park, junior offensive guard. Logan Brown out of East Kentwood, the senior offensive tackle. Devontae Dobbs out of Belleville, the senior offensive tackle. Anthony Bradford, the senior out of Muskegon, offensive tackle. Lance Dixon out of West Bloomfield, the senior outside linebacker. Carson Barnhart out of Paw Paw, going to Michigan, senior offensive tackle. Michael Fletcher, the fine defensive end out of Flint Carmen Ainsworth. You have to
Ruku or Horo.
Ruku Ohorhoro, the senior defensive end out of River Rouge. Adam Berghorst, the senior defensive end out of Zeeland East. And Marcel Lewis out of Chippewa Valley, the senior linebacker. That is our first top 10. We do have a watch list of 5 guys. And again, you don't have to be a senior to be considered for this award. We've got Rocco Spindler on our watch list. You know the name Spindler. Yeah, very well. The offensive tackle out of Clarkston, Darius Robinson, who we're going to talk about in the recruit report coming up, the defensive end out of Canton, Braden McGregor, the junior defensive end out of Port Huron Northern, Jacob Wahlberg, the senior inside linebacker from Muskegon Mona Shores, and I think it's Maisie Smith, the senior defensive lineman out of East Kentwood. All these guys could easily be in our top 10. These other guys, there's a plethora of talent.
It's a testament to how good the trenches are in this state now, that literally you sent out an email to us asking for the initial list and everything. Yeah, right. You could have put 10 names on there, and maybe Bernie had 2 or 3 of the same. Yeah. I could have put 2 or 3 on there. Yeah. Really, there is so much depth on the line. And what's interesting about it is there are guys that one guy on one side of the line on the same team and the other guy on the other side of the line. It's amazing how many guys work in tandem that you could legitimately put both on there. So I'm so glad. I think it's great for the game that you're doing this, that we're doing this, and have an envelope.
Doesn't it speak to the heritage of football in Michigan?
Yes.
It's embedded in the fabric.
It is. Yep. The lunchbox,
that black and blue
punching the clock
mentality, banging pads.
That's right.
Getting down and dirty.
That's right.
And you know,
that's what wins.
Yeah.
That's what wins championships. And we're gonna give our props to our Mr. Football guys, our playmakers and all of that, because in the end, that's generally what wins. So now that we've separated it, we feel really good about ourselves that we can talk about the big boys, or as you said it, the pretty boys and the big ugly. We don't mean that. Yeah. We don't mean that. But seriously, it is like 2 different categories, and we can celebrate both equally. So we're
power
excited.
And finesse. That contrast is what football. That's
right.
What's so
and
great
we're looking
about
for
football.
a sponsor for this right now. So if you know somebody who wants to be involved and sponsor the Anvil Award, I think you're going to be doing a really good thing. So let us know. Contact us at statechampsnetwork.com. So real quick, does anyone want to just make a couple comments on a couple of the guys on our Anvil Award who might be kind of front runners right off the bat? And we won't talk about Justin Rogers and Logan Brown, because we're going to talk about them with Alan in our recruit report.
I'll kind of take a step back in terms of not necessarily in the trenches, but we're talking about linebackers.
Yeah.
I know the 2 that we got on there, Lance Dixon from West Bloomfield and Marcel Lewis from Chippewa Valley. Just for bang for my buck, you don't get much better sideline to sideline than these 2 guys when it comes to a relentless motor, instinct, closing speed, just having that balls to the wall attitude 24/7 every snap. Lance Dixon, 120 tackles last year on a team that went to the Class A stamp or Division I state finals. Is going to Penn State, and then Marcel Lewis had over 100 tackles at Chippewa Valley. He's going to Central Michigan. There's 2 guys that are just really, really standouts at the linebacker position.
Well, and you talked about it earlier. When you talk to coaches and you hear them thinking through the process of having the game plan for these guys, I mean, just Mona Shore's coach, Matt Koziak, who's going to have to go up against that East Kentwood team this first week.
Yes.
He said, I don't think we've ever faced anyone as tough on defense as number 56, who's Basie Smith. Yeah. It just a terror, and he's trying to figure out, okay, how do we deal with this? And that's exactly what we're looking for, is that kind of, oh my gosh, this is, and it's not quantifiable. It's not something you can put a number on or weigh, but it's that feeling of, we have to figure out how to deal with this guy. And that's what he's been doing. Are we going to double team him? Are we going to triple team him? How are we going to deal with him and keep our quarterback upright? And that's a guy that he's going to Michigan that is just a terror on defense, whether it just be, whether it be statistically based or just that feeling of, he's lined up across from my guard and I got to figure out how to deal with him.
Yeah, Smith was in our Blue Chippers, and we did our signing day, and who we had coming out. And again, on the other side, they're going to have to deal with Logan Brown too, try to get on his side. So yeah, East Kentwood is stacked, and again, we're trying to, as much as we can, spread it out. Try and avoid, number one, having guys from the same team. It's very easily we could do that in a lot of cases, but also kind of spread it out throughout the state the best we can. So, but again, vote for your favorite. It will be up on the website next week. It's not going to be this week. We are debuting a brand new, totally redesigned statechampsnetwork.com. That should be up at the latest this weekend. Mr. Football will be there. Anvil Award will be there next week. So just kind of know that where that's going to happen. So let's get to the Hungry Howie's Mr. Football race. And again, we took a couple of the guys that were in that Anvil Award off that list, which allowed us to bring in more. We have a new top 10. I will read them to you now. Jaron Mangum out of Detroit Cass Tech, the fine running back. Sam Johnson, who we talked about earlier in the show, the Walled Lake Western quarterback. Dwan Mathis, who we talked about earlier in the show, the Oak Park quarterback. DeQuan Finn, who we talked about earlier in the show, the Detroit King quarterback. And Alan, we'll talk about him in the recruit report. The athlete out of Forest Hill Central, Tate Halleck, obviously has great genes. As his father, as his father
It'll be
was
the 73rd Halleck to play at State, right? Isn't that the number now? 73.
I think so. Roderick Hurd is now in our top 10, the fine running back, defensive back out of Farmington Hills, Harrison. Trey Mosley, the wide receiver out of West Bloomfield, we did not have on our original list because we could not leave off Lance Dixon. Now they're on separate lists. So Mosley's in there, and he definitely deserves it. Julian Barnett out of Belleville, expected to really explode this season. I believe is it Devell Washington out of Bay City Central,
I'm not
the
sure
wide
how to
receiver.
pronounce it, but
okay.
He came on like gangbusters in the offseason.
Yeah, I know
he
he
went
did.
from someone that you never heard of.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Michigan State, Michigan are coming in and throwing bids.
So that's why we put him in there.
He's a monster. At 6 feet, I mean, he's only a junior too. He's 6'4", 220, and everybody's oohing and ahhing about him. So he's going to be a guy to watch, not just this year, but next year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Deron McKinney, the athlete, as they call it, out of River Rouge, who we'll see going up against Cass Tech this Saturday. Our watch list is Austin Brown out of Madison, the quarterback, the former Catholic Central quarterback.
To play baseball at Marshall yesterday.
Wow, yesterday. All right,
has made the decision that baseball's in his future, not the gridiron, but make no mistake about it.
Right.
This is a kid that could play at the next level at quarterback.
Yes.
You want to talk about a Sir Swag-a-lot, a guy that's got moxie, a guy that comes into a huddle and just commands that huddle, has that presence in the pocket. 3,100 yards, 33 touchdowns last year.
I wouldn't be surprised thinking how football crazy they are in Huntington. I don't know if you guys have been down there.
He did tell me that he'll have an opportunity to walk on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if once he saw the hype down there, I'm going to try this football thing again. It really is. It's a fun experience down there.
Yeah, kind of like a Jason Fracassa did, you know. And also DJ Zazula at Wayne State. He now is just concentrating on football, right?
I know Tristan Jackson right now had been at Michigan State, West Bloomfield quarterback, played receiver at State. Now he's at Syracuse. I know there's some talk that in addition to playing wide receiver for the Orange, he might be on the basketball team as well.
Yeah, interesting. And Steve Walker, the running back out of Canton. And, a lot of people don't talk about Steve, but, he had a heck of a playoff
He's a two-way guy. He's a guy that comes at you from linebacker, safety, kind of a viper spot.
Really good. Had 175 yards.
Lights the fuse in the guy that he's tackling.
Yeah, absolutely. Against Saline when they knocked off Saline last year. A real guy that's going to be carrying the load for another team with a new coach. So that's going to be interesting.
Moving in for Coach Beckler.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jordan Anderson out of Harper Woods, the running back, defensive back, is on our watch list. Ian Stewart out of Gibraltar Carlson, the wide receiver, safety. We'll see what he does this year. That'll be interesting. Downriver, I think the Downriver League in itself will be interesting. I believe Wyandotte is kind of the team to beat, but we'll see. And Marvin Grant, who again, another King kid, easily could be in our top 10 right now. We're trying to keep it so that we just have one per school, at least to start. We're early on here. We haven't even played any games yet. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm not going to have any problem with slipping in guys from the same team if they deserve to be in our top 10.
I've been so high on Marvin since his sophomore year, and I know over the summer there was some questions about his foot speed.
Yeah.
And he went down to some showcase camps and was like, "Oh, you got some questions about my foot speed?" And he ran a 4.5, 4.45, showed everyone that, hey, that's the last thing you should worry about. I'm a big hitter, I'm a guy that can, sniff out where the ball's going, but believe me, I can cover too.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. So that is how our Hungry Howie's Mr. Football race is stacking out right now as we head into week 1. Again, go to the website, statechampsnetwork.com. Vote for your favorite. It will be, if it's not updated by, the time that this show premieres, Thursday at 3, it will be by Friday. We'll have all our new guys on there. So just get to voting. And basically the important thing that you should understand about voting, and Sean's going to join me on TV every week as we'll break down a couple of guys individually, is that the top vote getter can never be removed. So, again, we talk about parity and the great talent that's spread throughout. If you believe that your guy needs to stay in the top 10, then vote for him. Absolutely. And do it often. You can do it as much as you like. And if you do that, then, again, he stays in. Now, the online vote getter at the end of the season automatically gets a chance to be in the Final Four. And you're in the Final Four, and you also have a 25% advantage over everybody else to win the whole thing.
Just so when we start off.
Just starting off. Right now, you've got 20%, not 25. Yeah, 20% right there. And And then if you dominate in a couple other categories when we break it down, well, you know what? You're going to win. And really, I will say that it has played a huge role in our decision-making at the end. And it was the reason. It was the reason that my man at Michigan, the wide receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones did not win.
Yeah, because didn't we give it to Cody?
We gave it to Cody White, and it was because Cody White was the people's champion. The vote, that was the difference when we broke it all down. And, well, Cody White is proven that we should get it, although I think that Peoples-Jones should have.
He'll have a good year. I think
he should have
a good year.
Yeah.
People were, I think,
kind
of unfair.
They sure are.
In the criticism of him last year. Right. This is a whole other subject about
college
football.
Is. And here's one thing that I'm going to shout out to the guys right now, and something that you can expect in further podcasts, and we'll put this on our Extra Point podcast, is every weekend I want you guys to find one former Michigan high schooler who had an impact in their college football weekend, and just bring it up, and we'll talk about that kid for a little bit. We'll get some stats in, and we'll just kind of live down memory lane, because there's so many guys right now that you watch a game and you be like, oh my gosh, I remember that kid. I forgot about that kid. Because, when you talk about red shirts and how some guys get pushed along, they may not start their football career until 2 years after they graduate in some cases.
Metro Detroiters that are going to be in that passing game.
Right.
DPJ and Grant Perry.
Right. Yeah. Alex Malzone has 2 years left of eligibility, and he's starting at Miami of Ohio, and it seems like it's been forever since he's been quarterback of Brother Rice. So we'll bring that to the table. I think that'll be fun. That's kind of a homework assignment for all of us to do that. So we're going to take another time out. Coming up, the Michigan Student Aid Recruit Report with Alan True of 24/7 Sports. That is next.
Today, in our final segment of our three-part series on rule changes for the 2017 season, we're going to look at 3 different items. On passing plays, pass interference will no longer be called when the defender is simply face guarding the receiver with no contact. The old rule of face guarding with no contact was a tough judgment call for officials. The new rule, which now requires contact for pass interference, will give us more consistency. Also, in the final 2 minutes of a half, the team accepting a penalty will now have the option of restarting the game clock with the snap of the ball rather than the referee's ready for play signal. This change eliminates the team that is ahead in the score from possibly fouling intentionally to chew up extra time on the game clock. And this is the second year of an experiment in Michigan with a 40-second play clock, which starts shortly after a play is over, replacing the 25-second play clock, which was always started by the referee marking the ball ready for play. The 40-second play clock gives more consistency from week to week, as it no longer depends on who the referee is. If you want to learn more about game rules or become a referee, go to our website. There's help wanted, just whistle.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the State Champs Football Forecast. We're at our third segment in the show, third quarter. We'll put our hands in the air, and we are now going to get into this week's Michigan Student Aid Recruit Report. Joining us, just audio today, and we don't have them on video. In fact, we may have some audio glitches, but we'll work through that. This is a fluid situation, but we welcome in Alan True of 24/7 Sports to talk about some guys that are hot commodities or have already recently made their commitments. What's up, Alan? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, it's good to have you, Al. All right. So we just had our brand new State Champs, Hungry Howie's, Mr. Football list that get updated. We're dealing with some delays here, so just apologize if we get a little discombobulated. But one of the guys that's in our top 10 is DeQuan Finn, the Detroit King quarterback. Talk about what's happening with him.
Well, he's committed to Central Michigan, but I wanted to bring him up just because I think when we talk about quarterbacks in the state in this class, we often start with Sam Johnson and Dwan Mathis, and for good reason. Those guys are big, tall, good-looking college prospects, and DeQuan isn't quite as big as those guys, so I think sometimes he gets overlooked.
Right.
But during the 7-on-7 season and the camp season, I thought he threw the ball every bit as good as any other quarterback in the state. I think he's going to have a huge season for King. They've got a great receiving core, and I think he's going to go to a system in Central Michigan that's going to allow him succeed in the spread. You saw what they did with Shane Morris last year. I think Daquan brings a lot of different intangibles to the table. I think he's going to have a big season for King.
Do you think if King really blows up and has an amazing season and say he really puts up great numbers, which he can, that he might relook at opening up his recruitment?
It's possible, but I think that, with as many Detroit guys and King guys that are committed to Central, I think they really have a good bond right now.
Okay.
And Cass guys.
And Cass guys. So I would say, it's possible. It'd have to be a really big school, I think.
All right. Well, another thing that we're doing now is, and Alan, we basically at State Champs felt there are so many great linemen. We're talking offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers that are so dominant, so great, yet so hard to judge, the intangibles. They don't have stats like a quarterback or a running back. So when we put them in our Mr. Football race, well, what ends up happening, I feel like I'm singing the national anthem here. What happens is that they're just not in the running at the end. And so we decided we were going to create our own new award. We're calling it the State Champs Anvil Award, where we are going to award who we feel is the top lineman in the state. So we've created a top 10 and a watch list. 2 guys you want to talk about today are on that list, and we'll start with Justin Rogers, the junior guard out of Oak Park.
Well, we at 24/7 have him as a 5-star. He was dominant on the camp circuit. He was dominant last season, and he had offers in the 8th grade from schools coming through Oak Park and seeing him work out when they were going to see Jermaine Hall and some of those guys. So he's been on the radar for a long time. He's every bit of the prospect that everybody thought he was going to be. Looking at Ohio State and Georgia, those are probably the top 2 right now. I hear Georgia might be inching closer in that race with everything that's going on at Ohio State. I think there's still room for some other schools. USC, I don't think the in-state schools, Michigan and Michigan State, are completely out of it either. But if I had to hazard a guess right now, I would say he's going to end up a Georgia Bulldog. But there's still some schools coming after him. But as far as on the field, very few guys in the state that I think are as good as him. He stacks up with anybody, I think, in the 19 class. And from what I understand, don't want to give away too much before the first game, but I think Oak Park's going to find some interesting ways to use him this year as well.
Just to add a little insight from my perspective.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to undermine what Alan said, but my conversation with him, which was, I've had a couple conversations with him. My most recent conversation about a week or 2 ago, he was pretty adamant that Michigan and Michigan State are not really in the running for him.
Right.
I mean, he said, I don't really want to stay in state. I want to go down south or possibly to Columbus. So, that could be just something to keep an eye out for.
Well, what's interesting, too, is we've seen, Kentucky come in and grab, a lot of great talent. I think there is an appeal to going down south, and there's nothing wrong with that. So what do you think, Al?
No, and he's, Kentucky was his first offer, so he's been looking at Southern schools for a long time. He, close friends with John Kelly, who played at Oak Park, so he's always looked at Southern schools. And so when I said Michigan and Michigan State aren't out of it, I think he's still going to probably, they're going to keep recruiting him, and he may look at him, but he came out and said Georgia and Ohio State are his top 2.
All right, finally today. Oh, actually, we got 2 more we're going to get to. Let's talk about, since we're talking about offensive linemen, you got to next go to Logan Brown at East Kentwood.
Well, he's our number 1 guy in the state, and which surprised some people. Devontae Dobbs has been on the radar for so long that I think it surprised some people. But Logan is built exactly how you want him to be built, 6'6", 300 pounds, very, very flexible. And he's going to a place in Wisconsin that I think, they've turned their left tackle's about to be a first-round pick. He was a high school quarterback. So you think about what they can do with a guy like Logan. I think he's destined for greatness.
Boy, I tell you, Wisconsin, would they come in ranked 5th?
4th.
Oh, 4th. I mean,
it is amazing. I think for the longest time there was a myth around here that Wisconsin was this little team that couldn't. And I'm like, wait a second, what about all those Big Ten championships? I think maybe it's because of the split. They haven't had much success other than that first year. This team is loaded. And Alan, you correct me if I'm wrong, Wisconsin's going out and getting guys from everywhere now, starting to make a name for themselves on the trail.
They are, and one of those places is Michigan. They've had a lot of success in Michigan. I just read today Scotty Nelson from U of D Jesuit's going to be a starter up there.
Wow.
And they're going to the West Coast. They're going all over the place. They're not forgetting about their in-state kids, but they get a lot of those guys as preferred walk-ons that do well. So yeah, Wisconsin is one of those schools that you feel like might turn the corner into a national brand pretty soon here.
They've grabbed about a half dozen blue chippers from this area in the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, and hey, they run a great program. Why wouldn't you want to play there? All right, let's talk about finally the senior defensive end. He's on our watch list, on our anvil list here to start out, Darius Robinson out of Canton.
Well, he's one of the few uncommitted top guys left in the state. He's got 5 officials left to use. I think he's going to use them all: Maryland, Colorado, Rutgers, Michigan State, and Syracuse. I think it's going to come down to Michigan State and Syracuse, though. Syracuse was a school that's recruited him for a long time. Michigan State's obviously the in-state school. They offered him in June. They get the last 2 official visits. It's probably going to come down to a foot race between those 2 schools. Some people think he's going to stay closer to home. Some people think the long-time relationship with Syracuse is going to pay off. And Syracuse's defensive line coach, Vince Reynolds, is from Detroit, coached at Central, coached at Western. So he's got a lot of ties back to the state. So that's going to be an interesting battle. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a layup for Michigan State when they offered. That's not the case. So I think he's open to some of the other schools he's taken officials to, but ultimately I see that one coming down to those final 2 visits there in East Lansing and in Syracuse.
Hey, Alan, Scott Burnstein, can you add a little flavor to the story that's kind of surrounding him, that this is, obviously he's a late bloomer. He wasn't a guy that a lot of people knew about until the last couple months, but I heard somewhere that he never played organized football until like last year.
Last year, that was it. That was his first year. And it's interesting you bring that up. I think that's part of the reason he likes Syracuse. He was at Canton Prep for the first 2 years, was trying to be a basketball player, transferred over to Canton, started playing football, and it turns out there were some classes from Canton Prep that didn't transfer over right. Syracuse, as I understand it, was one of the schools that helped him kind of get all of that figured out and helped him get on the right path. So, yes, very raw, but has turned the corner quickly. I think that's why some schools didn't offer at the end of last fall. They monitored him. Michigan State got him in camp. A couple other schools got him in camp and said, wow, this guy is learning the game really, really fast. Tremendous upside. 6'6", 250 pounds. I kind of see him as a baby Malik McDowell. Malik was kind of a raw, long, tall guy that could play inside or out. Darius is similar. Maybe not quite as big, and Malik played, I think, 3 years of varsity football by this point. Darius has only played 1, but there's kind of similar body types and playing styles.
The tape I've watched, he's got a great burst off the snap. A guy that, is like an immediate clear and present danger in that backfield.
Yeah, and the game that really caught my eye last year, the game that I watched in its entirety that I didn't know who he was yet, was when they played Belleville in the playoff. And I kept saying, this is number 5, big, athletic kid. So he brought his best against the best schools, and I think you're going to see he's one of the guys that I think will make the biggest jump from last year to this year, just because of how little football he had played last year and how much work he's put in the offseason.
All right, fantastic. That is the Michigan Student Aid Recruit Report. He is Alan True of 24/7 Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Alan True, Trieu. All right, Alan, hey, man, we'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll see you. All right, guys, we're going to take another timeout. When we come back, we are going to wrap up our preview of some more big games that are taking place across the state. This is the Football Forecast.
I want to be a dermatologist, and though a lot of universities tried to recruit me for basketball, Lawrence Tech had the science curriculum that I wanted. LTU's Southfield campus is a great place to learn, and the classes are small enough that I don't have to wait for office hours to talk to my professors. They're usually right by my side, challenging me and guiding me toward a successful future. Lawrence Tech. Possible is everything.
Fundraising should be fresh, flavorful, and simple. We have the perfect solution at Hungry Howie's, Dough Raiser. Your team or school can sell paper pizza certificates that can be redeemed for 1 medium pizza at participating locations.
Hungry Howie's makes it easy. It's just a little mini pizza box, but we make lots of money, lots of dough.
Go to doughraiser.com to learn more and sign up. Your next fundraiser comes with flavored crust. Welcome to Hungry Howie's Dough Raiser.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Football Forecast. Again, we appreciate our sponsors. Thank you so much for being a part of this. This is Sean Baligian, Scott Burnstein, Matt Mowery. I'm Lorne Plant. We were joined in the previous segment by Alan True. You'll see him, or at least hear from him, all season long. And we're here to kind of wrap it up. Fourth quarter, hands in the air, as we get to some other big games around the state. And we do have some big ones, not at the PKC, and a couple at the Big House. And one of them is Granville and Clarkston getting together. That's the Friday nightcap.
The defending Division I state champion.
Yes, exactly. No way we thought we would say that.
Nope.
At any time last year.
Coaching jobs and performances by a group that had no high-profile talent.
None.
And made a run through that state tournament and then knocked off a West Bloomfield team in a weird game, 3-2 in the state finals, where they equalized and dismantled a Lakers team that had a dozen Division I.
I was shocked, stunned, appalled. It was crazy.
Isn't it amazing? It goes to show you again, trenches, because that's what Clarkson brings in. You brought up Rocco Spindler, and it's funny. You know, I worked with his dad. It became a friend of mine. I held Rocco when he was a baby.
Right, exactly.
Rocco could hold all of us in his table right now. I know. Mean, he is really he's a monster.
Sophomore.
Yeah. I mean, he's a monster. He's only a sophomore, but he's but one of just a slew of guys. Like you said, maybe not the high-profile guys, but boy, I'll tell you what, when you talk about trenches, they got it made.
Well, him and Garen Dellinger, the Bruise brothers, in the middle of both that offense and that defense. Guys that started as true freshmen. Started as freshmen in high school at the varsity level on a team that won a state championship. That obviously brought some attention their way. Both those guys have gotten Michigan State, and Ohio State offers before they took their first snap of sophomore year, and they're going to be the heart and soul of that line play for the next 3 years.
Yeah, make no bones about it. Clarkson's going to have to reload. They've got 4 starters on defense, just 2 on offense coming back. Yeah, that's it. So, but again, 3 state championships in the past 5 years. These guys have figured it out how to coach them up. There is no question about it. But
you've heard of the movie The Two Jakes?
Yep.
The Jack Nicholson movie in the 80s.
Yeah, I remember. I love that movie.
This offense is the 3 Jakes. Quarterback Jake Jensen, senior, stepping in to start at quarterback, and then you got a real nice 1-2 punch in the backfield between Jake Billette and Jake Honstetter, who's a transfer over from Holly, an all-Flint Metro League player. So I think those 3 by themselves, with a nice receiving core, no real high-profile talent, but a group of guys that go almost a half dozen deep in terms of guys you can throw the ball to. I'm pretty confident that offense will hold their own.
Well, yeah, I think this will be a good game. I really do. Granville's coming in. Teams made the playoffs 4 straight years. Again, those of us in Southeast Michigan or anywhere who kind of dismiss a little bit of what's going on the west side, you really shouldn't, because just look at the state championships, in all the divisions over the past few years. A lot of them West Siders, and a lot of them winning 3, 4, 5 in a row in some cases. So I think Granville's going to come in. This is a team that their entire offensive backfield is back this season, and Landon Pohl is their quarterback. And I think he is somebody who is I got to see him a little bit last year, and I really liked how he played. They've got a kind of a good tandem in the backfield, so they're going to run the ball. So Clarkson's going to be tested, I think, right off the bat. And again, I think it's going to be the line play, because I think both will be strong. Even though we don't know a lot about Clarkson's right now, we know they're young and big and bruising and good. They're just going to have to be tested now in an environment like the Big House, which can be a little intimidating.
I want to piggyback on something that you said. Granville is one of those schools as well that the athletic department as a whole, I mean, they've just kind of exploded across the board in multiple sports. And you better have your shop in order on the west side. I mean, honestly, because if you don't have your shop in order, you're going to get run. So what you've seen is a lot of schools out there just get better and get better fast in football.
Who we're about to talk about.
There you go. Absolutely. Falcons are a prime example of that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, let's move on. Let's go to East Kentwood, which we wanted to talk about. This is a game that's going to be played on Saturday at 4 o'clock. It's going to be at Grand Valley. So it's going to have that college environment as well. A lot of teams doing this now on the opening weekend, and I love it. I think it's great to play at college stadiums. So East Kentwood is taking on Mona Shores. Both teams have star power.
Let's just start off by saying
yes, go ahead.
The assembly of talent on the line at East Kentwood. It's
incredible.
I dare say that's obviously astounding. It's generational. We're talking about 4 guys on the line, not just Maisie Smith and Logan Brown. You go to the junior class, you got Bryce Mostella and Dallas Fincher. You're talking about 4 guys that will all be playing power conference football in 2 years and possibly making huge impacts at the next level. I don't know how you game plan for that.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Mona will counter with Jacob Wahlberg, Damari Robertson. Yep, both going to Western. So we'll see how that plays out. This is the first time these two have played since 2002, which is a surprise considering the proximity.
Mona Shores always plays somebody good right out of the box.
Yeah.
They want to challenge themselves before they get to conference play, and that'll do it. That's a good way to challenge yourself by taking on the big bully on the block, or one of them at least.
Yeah,
it's not just East Kentwood in terms of what Sean said about having your house in order, or one of these teams is going to pop up out of, maybe not necessarily out of nowhere, but it's going to pop up and knock you off. Mona Shores is one of those groups over the last 5 years that has really made strides as a program.
That's right, and I believe they're still in Division II. So with that said, Division II is always, has really routinely become one of the most hard to predict. Because these teams makes run, whether it's De La Salle, whether it's going to be King, whether it's going to be Mona Shores, or somebody else who comes along. And sometimes, gosh, who knows how big Muskegon's going to get? They might be pushing themselves up to
next game we're
Division
going to talk
II.
about.
So yes,
best game in the state, week 1.
Well, let's get into it then. Friday at 7 could be a 7:30 game because I think the JV are playing before, which is kind of a neat thing. Have the JV play, then the varsity play. This is at Alma College, and it is Ithaca and Pewamo, Westphalia. And if you sleep on Pewamo, Westphalia, you just aren't following high school football, because there's a reason they're the back-to-back D7 state title holders. And then when you talk about Ithaca, you're talking about a team who, again, is on an unprecedented winning streak. It's at 73. It's incredible, and I think you're right. I originally did not have this in my lineup because I don't know how I missed it. And Matt was like, you think we could talk about Ithaca Pewamo? And I forgot they were playing. And I'm glad we're talking about it because it is going to be
Muskegon
fantastic.
and De La Salle, and then Catholic Central, Catholic Central, Walled Lake Western. It's a toss-up.
Yeah.
3 powerhouse games.
Unlike college football, I might add,
Yes.
because in college football, very rarely do we get the good. We'll get the good matchup on Labor Day.
Cupcake Central.
Yeah,
right?
we'll get the good matchup on Labor Day usually, and Michigan Notre Dame, if I may for a second, is good. But this is loaded. I'm glad you brought that up as well, because I mean not just the history, but darn good teams now. Intrigue all the way, Matt.
Well, last time Ithaca lost a regular season game was 2009.
Right.
Half these kids were in elementary school that are playing now.
Ridiculous.
Right? Yeah. It's St. Charles beat them.
If they hadn't got bumped up to 5, they probably would continue their state championship streak. They ran into a tough game last year, losing. I mean, Jackson Lumen Christi was as strong as anybody. So.
An interesting side
Division
story.
6. Sorry, they were 7.
Yeah, or a kind of a feel-good piece of what's going on down there at the quarterback position. You got 2 kids with just incredible bloodlines that are going to share snaps. You got Brady Hesbrook, whose dad is the venerable Terry Hesbrook, and then you got Peyton Smith, whose brothers were the Smith brothers that have
including our Mr. Football, Travis Smith,
that have won state titles at Ithaca. So it should be exciting to see those 2 guys. I think one's a junior and one's a sophomore. So it should be interesting to see them sharing snaps and running that offense in tandem.
Ithaca's always got a quarterback. I mean, going way back to when I was covering them and they had Josh Brem, I mean, they always have somebody under center who can hurt you somehow, whether it's with the feet. Some of them have been running quarterbacks. Other ones have been, throwing the ball around. But they always find somebody who can beat you at the quarterback position. And right now, they may have 2.
It's just cool just to know where these guys come from, where they're the pedigree that they have. Their pocket pedigree, if you will.
Absolutely. And again, when it comes to success, last 8 seasons, Ithaca's won 5 state titles. and Pewaukee Westphalia has reached the past 3 D7 state finals. They've won the last two winning programs, getting together. You love it that they schedule that. It's fantastic. And again, I think there's a lot of things that are right in high school football, and a lot of people like to focus on some of the negatives. There's a lot of great that's happening out there. So we are looking forward to that. We do have one more game we'd like to talk about, and that is Muskegon and Warren.
You can argue that's the best one.
Yes, you can. I was not going to step on you there, but yes, I think there are many that would say. We will have highlights of this game on State Champs coming up. Again, Muskegon coming off their first perfect season since 2008, 14-0. Last year they were, I guess
electric.
You could. I mean, if you want to pick like who is the true single champ, if they all had to play, I mean, I would have really been hard pressed to say that De La Salle or Clarkston was going to be able to beat Muskegon. Last year, they
averaged 51.5 points a game. Average. They topped 60 points 5 times.
Exactly.
It was just
by the way, it just
became
official. I think in the last couple of days that Ladarius Jefferson officially is now a running back at State. They decided to place him at tailback. He was the quarterback.
Right. I think we all knew that's where he was going to go. He was going to be a running back, and good for him. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be fantastic.
He was a human highlight reel.
He was. I mean, I think he was. They may have had 70 offensive plays. He ran the ball like 67 of them. I think he threw it twice.
And Muskegon's another one of those schools we were just talking about. Matt, you just made reference. Muskegon's another one of those schools. Where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to go play at CC? Cool.
Right.
Where do you want us to go? And, they're another team. You know what they're going to bring to the table. They have a bunch of behemoths year after year. It seems like there's a pipeline out there. They're a big team. They're a physical team, and this will be a fun one to watch.
No question.
They got Cam Martinez coming over from Muskegon Catholic Central in the small school ranks.
Right in.
Who won a state championship as a freshman under center at MCC, and now is moving into the big leagues, into the fast lane. And I know we got him on our is it on our watch list or our top 10.
No, he's not in the top 10. I don't know if I put him on the watch list. He will be.
He's someone who probably will be soon. He's only
he's on the radar. I debated.
He's a junior, and he's a mini Ladarius Jefferson.
Yeah, I did not.
Probably has a better arm.
Yeah, I did not put him on the watch list yet. I put Austin right there, but you know what? I just want to give him a game and see where he's at. He may just jump right into the top 10 right away. So, again, he's already, he's a 3-star, Boston College, Kentucky. I think most of the MAC is recruiting that kid. So they just replace, what is a Muskegon legend now with who could be. But they've got to go up against a Warren De La Salle team that does not back down to anyone.
And who's got one of the best defenses.
What they did in the state finals, what they did in the Catholic League last year was flat out dominant. Mike Giannone is such an interesting guy in how his approach to football. It's always defensive oriented and toughness. I remember the first day I went into Dakota. This was, I think, the first state championship year. And I went into the locker room, and they had like Macomb, Dakota on the weight pallets. You know what I mean? All the plates had Macomb, Dakota. He was running a college program. It seemed like, and just all those kids were bought in. And being at Warren De La Salle now, where he's not restricted to zip codes, he basically has his choice of the MAC there to say, come on, if you want to play for me, we'll do it right here. And in just a short period of time, he's creating a program that I think is.
And he's got great leaders.
I think
that's half the battle.
Yeah, right? Great leaders. Defense right now, Jacob Dobbs.
Yeah.
Middle linebacker, Devin Campbell.
Josh DeBerry.
Outside linebacker, Josh DeBerry, who I've been singing his praises. I think he's the most underrated defensive back in the senior class. Just when you have 3 leaders like that are going and implementing what Coach Giannone and the staff are drawing up.
Here's the interesting thing. It's hindsight is 20/20. It wasn't that easy for this team.
Right.
A lot of guys didn't buy in. Yeah. And Mike talked about that extensively last year.
There was a coup at the beginning on Giannone coming in.
We're done. And you know what? That's when the leadership that Bernie
Yes.
talked about stepped up and said, guys, let's stay the course. And,
You have to.
you know, those that stuck around have got to be pretty happy they stuck around because they ended up winning a championship. I know a lot's going to be made about replacing a quarterback. People forget they replaced a quarterback last year, too.
Yeah.
I think Luke Fromm did all right. You know, I think he was okay. He's taking his talents to
This
Wayne
junior's
State.
name is Anthony Stepnitz.
They're going to be okay.
Stepping
They're
in.
going to, you know what? You saw, in my opinion, you saw a kid in Fromm that just got better as the year
Oh,
went on.
yeah.
There was no question about that. I would expect the same.
And then he
out
took
of him
the
this year.
Pilots to the Final Four in basketball.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
He was
Wiped
all
a little
right.
dirt off his
That was a
shoulder.
good year.
No doubt. No doubt. So, all right. So I think what we can do to kind of wrap it up is we can have kind of fun and make some predictions, even though my predictions are always terrible. So guys, don't get mad at me. If I choose you to win, you'll probably, or if I choose you to lose, you'll probably end up winning. But why don't we just start right with that game right there, Muskegon De La Salle, who you guys got? We'll start with Scott.
I'll go Muskegon. You know, they're playing, in Big Red territory, and I just think the talent on the one side of the ball will win out in this.
Who you got? You got Muskegon?
I got Muskegon, yeah.
Yep. I'll tell you what, as much as I want to go for De La Salle right now, I just think playing in Muskegon, I think is going to give them an advantage. They're, you know, if this was a basketball game, they'd be hoisting the state championship banner, even though De La Salle will be doing that back at Wayne State. This is a home and home, so they'll be at the PKC next year. Muskegon will be coming down, and that's De La Salle's home field. If you don't know that, they play at Wayne State. I think this year I'm going to give the advantage to Muskegon, but I think it's going to be a slight edge. I think it's going to be a hard-fought, maybe a 14-13 kind of game.
And win or lose, this game, playing in this environment, playing against this type of talent, it's going to bode well and pay dividends further down the line.
For both of them.
Right. All right.
Win or lose.
Yeah. How about the game we talked about before that, Ithaca and Pewaukee, Westphalia?
I got to go with Ithaca.
Yeah, I go with
Ithaca.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Pewaukee in this, just in the fact that I was so impressed with how they played the last couple of years at Ford Field. And again, this is no press on Terry. Obviously, I think his Ithaca teams are fantastic. Neutral site. I'll be the oddball. We'll say Pewaukee can pull it out, but we'll see. Mona Shores and East Kentwood. I'm going to take Mona Shores in this one, believe it or not.
I like East Kentwood, the line. As you said, how do you game plan against that? I don't care who you are. I don't care
carefully.
who you are, where you are.
The good thing is you've had 6 months to do it.
Yeah.
Because you know you're going to play.
Four
Yeah,
guys that are 6'5", pushing 300 pounds.
I know.
That's a college line.
It is. It is. So obviously you're taking East Kentwood. Yes.
I'm taking East Kentwood.
Okay. See, I can be the odd man out, and it's all good. So I don't feel bad either way. Granville and Clarkston at the Big House. I went back and forth when I was thinking about this, just because, again, if Clarkston maybe was going to lose a game, maybe it would be the first one. It was kind of like Ithaca losing to Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central right out the gate, you know, as they were trying to figure some things. I think they're going to learn a lot about themselves in this game because Granville is going to bring it. But I do think that in the end, Clarkston, wearing the winged helmets in the Big House, is going to pull it out.
It's a big bear trap. I agree with you. It's a big bear trap, but I think Clarkston's going to avoid the bear trap and win this one.
You know, over the years, I've made the mistake of underestimating Kurt Richardson and that staff.
Me too.
When they've had to go into rebuilding mode,
I
quote
know.
unquote. Or, you know, even last year, and I'm going to stop doing it, and I'm going to just say, I don't care that you only got 6 starters back.
Yeah.
I don't care that you're replacing everyone on offense except for the 2 sophomores.
Yeah.
I think Clarkson is going to make a statement that they're back. They're going to be a tough out, and they're going to be fighting tooth and nail to defend that state championship, and I think you're going to see it in week 1.
And I think they are so good at whether it's going to be a shootout or it's going to be 3-2. They're going to find a way to shut it down and get it done. And so until we see differently, it's the beauty about going into week 1. We really haven't seen these teams yet. So what do you think?
Hey, you're king of the hill until somebody pushes you off.
True.
And Clarkston's still the king of the hill. I got to go Clarkston.
Okay. Let's get to the PKC and the matchups we talked about. Let's start with Oak Park and Utica Eisenhower. Should be, again, a tough battle Thursday at 4 o'clock. Personally, for me, I am going to take Eisenhower in this one. And I think that from a talent perspective, you could give it to Oak Park, but I think sometimes, especially in week 1, you got to work some things out, and I think Utica Eisenhower is really going to be ready for this game. Matt?
I'm going to go with Oak Park. They've been knocking on the door for so many years, and it seems like this is the team. I mean, they've had talent, but it seems like this is the team that's going to get them over that hump.
Feel the same way, Oak Park.
I'll go Oak Park, but I think it's going to be closer than maybe some people think. I'm going to say like 24-21.
Okay, all right. Detroit Catholic Central and Walled Lake Western. This is one that I went back and forth with as well. However, and I rarely bet against Detroit Catholic Central. I'm not going to in this game. I think that they are going to come out, and I think that Dan Anderson has a firm grip now on what he has. Let me tell you something. If you ever go over to Catholic Central, that school now is thriving as much as it ever has. There are more kids banging to get in the door to play there. They have an athletic culture at Catholic Central that is rare.
They got by far the best football stadium and resources, and just all the bells and whistles you could ever want from a program in Metro Detroit. I haven't seen some of the facilities on the west side of the state.
And
for here,
and again, I know both teams have something to prove based on how things ended last year. But I will say that Catholic Central knows they're coming in an underdog, and they love that, and they're using that as fuel for the fire. So I'm taking CC. Matt.
I'm going to take Walled Lake Western for exactly the reason you just mentioned. They want to get that taste out of their mouth from last year, and they want to do it fast.
Yeah.
And I think they've been champing at the bit for months to get this going.
And they've got a coach to rally around, a new beginning. So they've definitely got a mantra to play for.
I'm going to take Detroit Catholic Central. I think Walled Lake Western is going to be outstanding this year.
Yeah, so do I.
Incredible. Really, really, really good.
Yeah.
But not this first game.
Right.
How's that?
And again, it doesn't hurt you. All you need is 6 wins, and then you can take care of it. These are the games that make them in.
I'm going to say Western 31-28. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Western, the only question I have about Western is defense up front as well as the linebacking core.
Right.
But I think their offense has enough, and in terms of leadership and tangibles, I'm going to say Western.
It's going to be a great game. I can almost guarantee that. That's Thursday at 7. Get out there. State champs will be there. It's going to be awesome. All right. So, and if you're just listening to this podcast, it's 3 o'clock on Thursday. You've got a couple hours to get out there. So check it out. So Friday at 7, Davison, Southfield, A&T. I am going to take Southfield, A&T. They have disappointed me, especially in the early goings of many seasons, where I feel that even when Sam Johnson was the quarterback there, that they just didn't have the game plan they needed to for that particular opponent. But
sometimes they have trouble getting up for games.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. I
didn't know who you were going to get every week.
They're not going to have trouble being at Wayne State. It's the Friday night nightcap. I think they're going to come out ready to go. They've been able to focus on this opponent for the entire training camp. So I'm going with Southfield A&T in a close one.
So am I. I think it's a close one, 98-91, something like that with that Southfield. I like this A&T team a lot. All jokes aside, I mean, the offense, we talked about it earlier. I like this team a lot. I think they're going to flip the script this year.
A&T by 2 touchdowns. A name to look out for is just a quick aside. One of the issues I think they have they get a lot of transfers. And
I know.
Every year you're kind of blending a new group together, and sometimes what you see on paper isn't always translating to what you're seeing in a playoff run.
No question.
But it goes year to year.
Yes.
Under Conley, they've gone to 2 Final Fours.
Yes.
They haven't yet quite made the run to Ford Field. But a guy to look out for in terms of transfer, Chris Robinson, just came over there from Detroit Renaissance, 6'6", wide receiver, all PSL last year, has a couple Division I offers from the MAC. He's a kid that's going to join a very talented receiving core already with Saunders Carter, Cam McEvans, and then Devin Baldwin, a defensive end recruit from Western Michigan that's going to play tight end. So I think they're going to score a lot of points this year, and Robinson's going to have a big game in his first game in a Warrior uniform.
All right. You said Southfield, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I haven't, but I will.
Oh, you are. Okay, I forgot if I asked you. Okay, that's your.
It's going to be high scoring, but it's going to be Southfield.
All right, so we'll see. It's funny. I always want to call them the Blue Jays, but they're not the Blue Jays. I can't stop that. I don't even remember. What are they now?
The
Warriors. That's right. Which is a great name, but Brother Rice has one right down the street. I don't know why you choose that. That's a whole other topic. We can go there. Cass Tech River Rouge should be a really intriguing game. I think that River Rouge is a little outmatched in this. I think it's great that they're playing, and for Corey Parker, he gets it. The coach at River Rouge, he knows that these are the games we want to play, and these are the games I need to teach my men that you need to step up and deliver, because they have had disappointing performances in their Final Fours over the last few years. Disappointing to them because they expect to win the state championship. And I had always expected them. I kept picking them to win the state championship, and they couldn't get there. But I think Cass Tech is going to come out and is going to. Cass Tech plays well at the PKC. And if you watch these games, whether it's Brother Rice or whether we're playing Oak Park, if it's Mikey Weber running in the second half.
I remember Mikey Weber.
Yes,
that was his breakout.
Exactly.
He had a ridiculous game against Brother Rice.
Yes, exactly.
And that was when he came on the scene and said, guess what? I'm the best running back in the state, maybe in the whole Midwest. And you're seeing it at the college level.
They play great in this game. It's in their backyard. They'll probably walk there. That's kind of their tradition in the state finals, how they walk from campus to Ford Field, no matter what the temperature is. I got Cass Tech.
I just don't think you can overcome the D4 to D1.
Yeah.
Even though River Rouge has a lot of talent there, the size differential, and I just think that Cass Tech's going to win this. But I think it'll be within 10 points.
I think it's going to be hard.
Corey Parker will use this. This will make River Rouge better by the end of the year. Yeah. Count on it. But
that's why you play. That's why you schedule these games for not now, not August, but for November.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of those that launches a playoff run or a championship run, even in a loss.
Yep.
And I think that's probably what happens.
All right, finally then, Detroit King and East St. Louis out of Illinois. Again, we don't know a whole lot about East St. Louis, and I'm totally having a total mind meld here because I can't. King had a super exciting game last year
in the
PKC,
week?
Yeah. And I remember they was super excited. They made some great plays. I think it's an interception or something. I don't even know if they won or lost. I can't remember, but I know it was super exciting. I think it was an out-of-area team that is really, really good. So we're all kind of drawing a blank, but that's okay. I'm going to go with Detroit King here in their backyard. I really don't know much about East St. Louis. I just know that they're going to bring it. And I think King this year more than any is theirs. To start the season, I'm going to say it right now, Division II is theirs to lose.
Yep, I agree with you, and I'm complete homer pick. I'm taking King too.
Right.
I know what I've read about East St. Louis. How's that? But I'm going homer. Yeah, I'll take King.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to go with King this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scotty?
I'm trying to get us who.
Last year's game.
Who they won.
I can't remember. I know it was super exciting. I didn't get a chance to go. I caught some video clips and obviously
it was Indianapolis Cathedral.
There you go.
38-35.
Yep. And they won.
Yep.
And it was late. And they won. I think they got an interception late. Yeah, exactly.
So that was a great game.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you brought that up. I remember afterwards I was like, we were on the cusp if we were going to cover that for state champs. We were like, well, it's out of area. I'd rather have a couple Michigan teams, for the TV show. But I wish I had been there.
I'll go with King as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that they do this. I mean, this is what's great about King is scheduling these out-of-state powers for the final game, the 6 p.m. Saturday game at Wayne State. What a great way to end the first week.
I'm excited for Penny Boone. He started to come on last year as a sophomore. He's a 6'2", 220-pound running back. Size, speed, hits the hole. I think that this is going to be the first of many great games over the next 2 years.
I also believe that DeQuan Finn wants to leave his mark as one of the great King quarterbacks of all time. This is going to be his year to do that. He's going to have plenty of opportunities against the likes of East St. Louis and Cass Tech probably a couple of times, as well as who they get in the playoffs, which, again, as the playoffs move along, will be powerhouse after powerhouse. And I really think, again, like Alan said in the recruit report, that, people just kind of don't really think about DeQuan yet as being, one of the best in the state. We do. We have him in the Mr. Football race.
Also, in this day and age, it's really unfortunate that
he had a great year.
If you're not 6'5" or 6'6", if you're just 6'2", which DeQuan is, you're just unfortunately you get overlooked at the quarterback spot. But it doesn't always match up. Look at the pros right now. Look at just the two of the best quarterbacks in the league, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees. Yeah. They're both 6'2". So
there you go.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's why Alex Malzone never got on the field at Michigan, because Harbaugh, who was a small quarterback, hates small quarterbacks.
I'm convinced Drew Brees isn't touching 5'10". It was there, so I just had to throw. I'm convinced he's not touching 5'10".
It's with the cleats.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's no question. All right, gentlemen, boys, this has been fun. Hope you have enjoyed it out there. This is the First Football Forecast. We're going to do this every week for the next 13 weeks. And again, I know those who miss the radio show. I miss the radio show, but this is a lot more free form for us to kind of talk about in depth what we want to, instead of every 8 minutes, oh my goodness, we got to take another break, because that gets annoying after a while, and 2 hours flies by, and then we have other things that we have to do. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Certainly give us feedback. You can do it at our website, statechampsnetwork.com. You can email us, contact us. Of course, talk to us on Twitter. We'll kind of chop this up and put some segments on Twitter. Talk to us there, of course, on Facebook, Instagram, all of that. We'll see you guys at the games. The football season has begun, so let's get it on, and we'll see you on Monday for a recap on Extra Point.